Welcome to the Welsh Yogi podcast.
Okay. Hi, Krishna, everyone. Now, another episode of the Welsh Yogi podcast, and we've got the whole crew here. We have Prema Sagara is in the background.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. You got Bhakta Rupa over there, who's on the webcam. And we have Bhakta Mark Prabhu,
Hare Krishna.
who's one of our guests. He's currently in the contemporary Vedic ashram. He's actually grew up in a devotee family. Very, very nice boy. We'll hear more about that in a second. And we've got Bhakta Jacob,
Haribo.
who's also doing the Bhakta course. So maybe we'll quiz them on what they've learnt doing the Bhakta Yoga course. They're both living in the CVA at the minute. Jacob is studying film, right? University?
I study film and television.
Film and television.
Yes.
And we did one podcast before with Jacob, but it was just too X-rated and too insane to release at the time. I think we all went off a bit of a tangent. Aliens, pyramids. It's a secret episode. And we were worried that if anyone listened to it, they might go insane. It's like the podcast version of The Ring. Ever seen The Ring?
No.
Yeah, okay. So, hi, Christian, let's get into it. Who should we pick on first? Jacob. Oh, here we go. Jacob's ready to... Remember, Jacob, right? We got an audience of maybe some people that this is their first experience of Krishna consciousness and devotees.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, all right, fine.
Well, I was going to say,
Uh-huh.
you were saying this is the first experience of some people listening,
Maybe, yeah.
that the whole philosophy that underpins everything we do, it's called Acintya-bhedābheda-tattva.
This is what you wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Right, let's give him space.
We were going to say...
Jacob, here's your space to tell us what is Acintya-bhedābheda-tattva. But remember, other people will have to speak in this podcast,
Right.
like Mark. Okay? But
I just know...
okay.
Okay. Before coming on,
Right, here we go.
I was asked to talk about the Bhakta course, because me and Mark are both currently doing the Bhakta course.
We are.
It's a course that's run nearly every year, right? And if you want to do class in the future, if devotees want to give class in Wales, this is a course that they have to do.
And even to take initiation.
if they want to go on.
Yeah.
And well, I just figured
Yeah.
that the Bhakta course, one of the first things you learn in the Bhakta course is this philosophy of Acintya-bhedābheda-tattva and what it means. And it's the philosophy that underpins everything we do. All the monks, all the Hare Krishna monks, it's Bhakti Yoga and it's Acintya-bhedābheda-tattva. They're the two main philosophies that underpin our whole lifestyle, right?
So what is Acintya-bhedābheda?
Acintya-bhedābheda-tattva.
Yeah.
Acintya-bhedābheda-tattva. There's a really good Kula Shaker song, actually. It's really helped me learn it, because I didn't realise I'd actually listened to it for years, because my dad's a really big Kula Shaker fan.
Is he?
Yeah, and he's gone to Kula Shaker, he's seen him live, and he's been playing this song for me actually for years, but I didn't realise it was the same philosophy as everything we do, and he's just saying this line again and again and again, and it means... the inconceivable philosophy of simultaneous oneness and difference between Krishna, or God, and his energies. And I've been talking to a lot of taxi drivers, because you get a lot of about this. You get a lot of taxi drivers who are religious, like a lot of Islam.
Where do you meet these
Christian.
taxi drivers?
I just taxi, oh, where else are we going to meet them? Like, gonna meet you in a taxi.
Yeah, go on then.
Got you there.
And,
Stupid me.
Got you there.
first, 'cause
Stupid question.
one thing I've learned, devotees have told me, it's to not
You're-
be as heavy. So when I'm talking to these taxi drivers, my point is I try and not be too heavy about what I've got to say.
You always
So
have to go to the... It's
Yeah.
like if you're teaching anything, like if you're teaching someone maths, you don't go straight into algebra or advanced mathematics. They have to get first the 1 + 1 = 2, etc. So we always just remember that when we're trying to share Krishna consciousness. So yeah,
And you've got a really good saying, which is people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
yeah, that's a good saying.
That's a really good saying.
Thanks.
I feel like everyone in Wales knows that, and that's come from you.
So do you think Acintya-bhedābheda-tattva, explain this philosophy, is a good place to start?
Yeah. And I was saying...
But remember, we will have Mark speak next now.
Yeah.
Oh, go on.
Actually, the last taxi ride I've been in, because
Yeah.
sometimes, like Mangalati, it's a...
What's Mangalati?
It's a program that's run at 4:30 a.m. every single day in the temple.
4:30 in the morning?
In every Hare Krishna temple in the world. And sometimes it takes me like a while to get ready because you just woke up. It's like really early in the morning. And you call a taxi because you want to actually get there on time.
Okay, so this is where you meet the taxi
So this is where I've... And...
That's your far out your taxi driver. You just finished dropping off all these drunk people and stuff in the morning. You still work. You pick up Jacob going to Mangalati. You're like, have you heard of Acintya-bhedābheda-tattva?
Oh no! I begin by prefacing like I'm interested by your if they're talkative and I can see they're like ready for it. And I ask them if they're religious, what their spirituality is, and then they give me a little bit. Yeah, I'm Christian. I believe Mary. I ask them. So what's your philosophy? I go, my philosophy. And he said, wait, what do you mean by that? I said, there's no other way really to explain this. Like, what's your philosophy? So I just say it again. And he says, yeah, I believe that Virgin Mary, she was a virgin when she gave birth to the baby Jesus. I was like, interesting. So, I'm religious. And I've got a philosophy. Yeah. It's Acintya-bhedābheda-tattva. And then I begin by explaining to him this analogy for a fire.
Right.
Yeah. But in the middle of a fire, there's a fire, but we're all, picture a fire right now.
Everyone close your eyes, please picture a fire.
And we're all sat around the fire. Why? We're sat around the fire because of heat, warmth, and light.
Can everyone feel the warmth?
But
Yes.
Feel the heat.
We wouldn't say, now we're sat around this fire, but I'm sat around heat, warmth, and light. No, you'd say I'm sat around the fire. But you're sat around the fire because of its energies. So in a similar sense, that's like everything in this world, this cosmic manifestation, everything it's the energies. But the fire itself, well, that's God, or that's Krishna. And you can I understand it. It makes sense to me in the sense everything in this world, and the same way like the fire, the heat, warmth and light, they're actually non-different from the fire itself, like the heat and the warmth. It's non-different, but it absolutely is different because it's not the literal fire, is it? But it's simultaneously non-different.
Yeah, so Prabhupada give another example with like the sun. So, you've caught the sun today.
You've got a nice tan, by the way, go pal.
So,
I wanted to say that.
Oh, thanks.
Have you been in the sun, or?
I've been in Ireland in the sun, yeah. It's been quite sunny the last few days. And, so Prabhupada would say the same thing. The sun emanates heat and light. The energies of the sun. So the sun, there's a difference between the sun and the sunshine, but they're one and different at the same time. So similarly, we're all this part of God, same quality of God. We're all part of Krishna, but we're also different from Krishna also. So yeah, that's a nice way to explain it, Jacob. It's a lucky taxi driver to get such a saint with spiritual knowledge first thing in the morning and an auspicious time of Mangalati. Now, Mark, so was there a class in the bhakta course, Jacob, that talked about Acintya-bhedābheda-tattva then?
Yeah, it was the first class.
Okay. Mark, is there anything that you know from the bhakta class or any reflection or anything that stood out for you? Just out of interest for these courses so far. How many classes have you guys done so far? Roughly? Ballpark figure?
About 10.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So you'll be going through Nectar of Instruction, right, which is a text by Rupa Goswami about the basics of Bhakti Yoga, I guess, or practicing it.
Written on a leaf under a...
Palm leaves,
He was under a tree. He lived under a tree and wrote it on a leaf.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
Probably inconceivable to a lot of people.
Yeah, well, that's what they used to write on his leaves, and before there was paper. And I was listening the other day. Actually, Plato was lamenting about people writing, because now we think people are advanced. People became advanced when they start writing things down, but actually, Plato complained about it because people are writing things down, but they don't have memories anymore. Just like now people complain that there's spell checkers on computers, so no one knows how to spell.
Or even AI now.
For example,
People don't
AI
even
is
know
a
how to
whole
think.
other thing.
It's the next level of that.
Yeah, so it's like we don't have memories anymore. We don't have a brain. So one time the students would memorize the Vedas. You had There's one Sanskrit professor I heard the other day. He can recite one of the Vedas front ways and back ways. Because when you're little, you can memorize everything but understand nothing. So get these kids to memorize the Vedas and then later on explain it to them. But yeah, a certain time in Kali Yuga we had to write things down. So Rupa Goswami would write it on paper. Was a very rare commodity.
Yeah.
Anyway, so go on.
That was really fascinating. There's a professor today who's memorized the Vedas.
You'd be surprised. I mean, when I was going, me and Vamsi, we were going door to door trying to raise funds for T Krishna project. And we were just dusted off this old list of names that we were just knocking on random doors, and loads of people didn't live there anymore. So this is an old list of people who had been in contact with, 30 years ago, some of them. There's one gentleman, he lived in Cardiff. He's an older gentleman. He's passed away now since. But he's an old Indian gentleman, cultured. And every morning, when he goes in the shower or part of his morning ritual, he recites the entire 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita from memory. Because he comes from a real Brahmana family. And when they were young, they would memorize these chapters of Bhagavad Gita and they're just drilled into them. Like that. So yeah, Rupa Goswami's, these things are written down because people don't have memories anymore. And but it's a wealth of knowledge that's available for everyone. So you're studying Nectar of Instruction?
Yeah.
And also given specific classes on things like Acintya-bhedābheda-tattva, like what is the sort of philosophy that encompasses all of what we believe, etc. Mark, anything that stood out from you for your...
I guess one thing I wanted to say just on the topic of Acintya-bhedābheda is, we can understand that we're qualitatively one with Krishna, but quantitatively different because we share the same qualities in a minute form. But, obviously Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and, we're just a jiva, so we're nowhere near on the same level as Krishna.
So Prabhupada said, you can understand God by understanding yourself, because you're a part of God. Just like you understand what the quality of the ocean is by examining a drop. So I'm a person, and I love, and I have likes and dislikes, and I want to love and be loved. So this is also the supreme. You grew up in a devotee family, right?
Yeah.
How much did you learn when you were little? Because you know a lot of verses. You're a good example of probably you did have verses drilled into you when you were young, and they stuck with you. It's quite impressive.
Yeah. We used to have kind of weekly sessions where we'd go and a group of us would get together and recite verses. We usually call them the 30 key shlokas from the Bhagavad Gita.
You glad you did that?
Yeah, it was really helpful. Especially speaking to devotees, you can kind of fire verses. And with Prema, actually, the other day in Bristol, we were doing a little quiz with each other.
Yeah, Prema Sagar knows a few of this, isn't he?
Because I'm usually walking to the book distribution. I'm usually reciting the shlokas, and Mark's really enthusiastic to okay, which one is it? And we'll do it together and stuff while we're walking. It's a really fun little game,
Yeah, it was nice.
These are we had some booklets once, and in the booklet we had different they're like trifolds, and in it were little exercises to do, etc. And so one of the things was affirmations. People like affirmations.
Yeah.
And what these verses are in the Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavatam, they're like affirmations of the ancient sages. So if any yogis or practicing spiritualists can actually memorize these positive affirmations and live by them, then it's very beneficial. Anything else? And I got something I want to share, but it's quite deep and profound.
Leave it there.
So maybe we'll leave it. Yeah.
No, you can.
It's quite profound. Some devotees have heard it before, but anyway, maybe anything else?
I am interested in what you've got to say.
Are you?
But there's also something that you mentioned.
Yeah, please.
In terms of a drop and our quality, because this is something I've been saying. I've actually had a really long conversation with one of my best friends back home. I had a really long phone call.
What's his name?
His name's Paula.
Shout out to Paula.
Yeah. I was talking about everything I learned on this bhakta course, and during my talking about Acintya-bhedābheda-tattva, I go on to talking about the ocean. How we're the same in quality with the Supreme Soul, but different in quantity. And I explain it, the analogy. I move on. I connect it to the philosophy I was explaining before. To, you think of a whole ocean, and I would really like you to correct me, because I know you know so much more. And I've spoken to Vamshi a bit about this, because he says it's an analogy and it makes sense, but it's limited. So I'd like you to explain. But I'll explain a little bit. But the ocean, okay. And this is one thing I say to
the taxi drivers.
Is right now I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you, Gopal.
Yeah.
But in 2-3 hours' time, you're going to be somewhere else, and I'm going to be somewhere else.
Right.
And like in a whole ocean, we're two drops. Our true nature, not this body, our true nature, which is the jiva, the soul. These two drops, right now, they're together. And I'm with, with Mark, and I'm with Bhakta Rupa and Prema, and we're like drops. We're 5 drops, and we're together.
And the viewers, don't forget the listeners.
Don't forget the listeners.
But in a few hours' time...
5 million drops.
5 million drops all together.
But in a few hours' time, we're no longer going to be together. And like the ocean moves. It's got waves. It fluctuates. So we're together like 2 drops of the ocean. But soon it's going to move. It's going to move apart. So I can't ever eternally take shelter in any other single drop. It's like friends in my life. Like I've had really, really close friends who I've been so close to, and they've left. I've not been friends with them anymore. I can't ever eternally take shelter in friends in this life, in any other single drop, like in just you, in just Mark, But the one relationship I will never lose. It's the same with like family. Like family's going to die at some point. Dogs are going to die. Pets.
Yeah.
But the one relationship that you'll never lose, ever, 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 when all these other relationships, is the whole ocean that you're part and parcel of. And that's Krishna, right? And then when you understand that on a personal level, because it seems kind of impersonalist how I just explained that, but we understand that supreme soul, that whole that we're part and parcel of, as a person, which is Krishna, right? And you can have such more of an intimate connection with that supreme soul, understanding it as a person, its likes and dislikes, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple of things. One is obviously all analogies are limited, especially when you're dealing with God. But the best analogies have most of the, whatever it's trying to describe has most of the qualities in common. I met somebody the other day in Galway in Ireland. He said, "You're not a drop in the ocean, you're an ocean in a drop." Which is like sounds really deep, but it's like on all practical levels. But in one sense, it's true also because Krishna's in the heart of every living entity and like that. But anyway, so one is like obviously that what connects all of these drops is the ocean. So really, understanding Krishna is you're right. You're taking shelter of the entire ocean, which is Krishna. And even if 2 drops are completely separated on other sides of the world, they're still connected because they're both taking shelter of the ocean. So there's a type of connection there that is just unavoidable. So all living entities, we are connected because we're all taking shelter of Krishna. But Prabhupada would also give the example that sometimes in Persian say we're all drops of an ocean. But Prabhupada would also give the example, well, in the ocean, what do you have when you go in the ocean? You have schools of fish. You have all different kinds of fishes. So you have different types of fish together, called fishes. And then you have like dolphins and plants and all sorts of like unfathomable things. You have little families there. You have little relationships. You have one thing trying to eat another. And so similarly in the spiritual world, one is to be one type of spiritual perfection is just to merge into Krishna. But there's also a deeper perfection of the fish that actually swim and relish and enjoy taking complete shelter of the ocean. So similarly, devotees are also like that. Devotees can actually, even in the spiritual world, have eternal spiritual relationships and that dynamic of exciting things going on and social things, etc. But they're all inescapably and relishingly part of the ocean, taking shelter. So that's another sort of deeper version of the analogy. Like that?
Because Prabhupada says, who's the founder Acharya of our whole movement, multiple times in his scriptures, that the living entity, the soul, our eternal position, our constitutional eternal position, is as a servant to that supreme soul that we're part and parcel of. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, servant, as in, because you have to serve something. He says that gives the example, like everyone serves something, even if it's out of love. The mother serves the child. You know, the child serves the husband. The worker serves the boss serves his family, etc.
Pets as well.
And
Sorry, back to you. But you want to say something?
No. I just nudged Mark by accident.
Acintya-bhedābheda-tattva, the three energies, God, Krishna, and his energies, which is everything. Those three energies. There's energies, and there's three of them, and we have to take shelter in one of those energies.
What three energies now?
This is the internal,
Internal,
the
external, and marginal.
marginal.
So you are marginal.
We are marginal.
Yeah, and you either
And
take
we-
shelter of the internal or external. It's like sitting on a fence.
Yeah.
You know, you can either go one way or the other.
The shoreline
Like the-
as well.
Yeah, the
Back
shore.
to the beach, yeah.
Yeah, do you want to explain the beach, Mark?
Yeah, so you've got like the way the waves come in, and then you've got the section between the sea and the sand. And you know, we can understand that where the water and the sand connect is how we're marginal. Also, one thing I wanted to say was like there's also 3 levels of understanding for understanding God. You have Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, and you know, people worship the different levels of God, but ultimately we're trying to, you know, get to the Bhagavan understanding.
Jacob, appreciate that.
That's another thing. The Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. That's another thing I explained in this phone call with Paula. And you
Shut up,
just-
Paula.
Big up Paula.
And for him, I felt like I was talking about all his philosophy, and he was like, "What the heck?" But I really enjoy it. Like, and
Yeah, especially when you first
Inconceivable to him.
come in contact with Christian consciousness. Like I would say, I was my driving instructor. I started learning how to drive before I met the devotees, and I carried on learning as I was getting into Christian consciousness up until when I moved into the ashram and became a monk and shaved my hair, and then further on. So he saw this entire transformation of me. And I was just, and he was trapped in a car with me for like an hour and a half or whatever, and I was just telling him everything. You
he's
know?
making advancement, right?
Yeah, but I was like, you know, when you first come to Krishna, you just want to tell him everything, and you've worked out the meaning of life, and you know. And he was just like, and he was free. He's like, Tom, I think you've joined a cult. I don't know, you know, because one day I just turned up with my head properly shaved and everything, and started wearing robes and tilak, and he was like a proper, you know, he was a football hooligan, and. So yeah, I think it takes time, like you were mentioning earlier, isn't it? It takes time to learn the tact of how to speak to someone, and not
Don't know how much you know
until you know how much you care. Back to Rupa.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
I was
No, I'm
going to
just-
say the sun that you explained earlier. This is what I explained in my phone call with Paula.
Okay, you
Is
go.
that there's a student, and there's a student of 3 different things, but actually, ultimately, they're the student. It's like mathematics. You can have someone who's a student of basic numeracy, and then you have a student of someone algebra, and then you've got Einstein level of mathematics. He's a student of higher, like deeper level mathematics.
Quantum mechanics.
So that's, and they both study ultimately the same thing, which is mathematics. They understand it on a different sense.
Yeah.
And using that same analogy, that's like the sun. It's like the sunshine, and then you got the sun disk,
And
then
you're
the
actually on the sun
inner
planet.
workings of the sun. And that's like
What's that verse? Tattva. You know the verse is. Tattva digas jnanam advayam paramatma bhagavat. Yeah. Yadvi tattva jnanam advayam brahmati paramatmati bhagavati sabdite. Yeah. Those are the 3 levels in God realization as described in the Vedic scriptures. Hare Krishna.
And each one is perfect. Like they are perfect, but it gets more perfect. But you wouldn't say less perfect, because I made this mistake a while back. You would say, no, it's not less perfect, because that insinuates it's not perfect. Because Brahman, when you talk about Brahman, and when you hear about the word Brahman in scripture, like it does mean perfection. And Brahman, the way I understand it, it's everything. It's matter. It's this all-pervasive matter that makes up everything. But then there's actually a next level, which you'd say is more perfect, which is Paramatma, which is God, Krishna, in all of our hearts, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
the localized form.
Brahman is there, the spiritual effulgence. So Brahman is spiritual. And then you have Paramatma, which is Krishna in the heart of every living entity, localized.
Yeah.
And then
I
you
find it interesting.
Go on, sorry.
I'm sorry.
But
I can't cut you off. But
You go on.
advanced to it.
no,
It's really bad.
advanced.
It's a very apparad, like.
Go on, Jacob.
And then Paramatma, Krishna.
He's a
in all of
sweetie.
our
Isn't he?
hearts.
He's a sweetie.
But not inside the heart of just humans. Inside the heart of every single living entity. Humans, animals, tiny microorganisms in the atmosphere. Every living entity inside the heart
Is
Paramatma.
yeah, profound. And then above Paramatma is Mark
Bhagavan.
Bhagavan. Just sharing it out. Yeah.
But that's even more perfect. That's the most perfect.
Yeah.
And Bhagavan is God or Krishna and what he actually does himself, his own pastimes and what he does and what he gets up to, which is completely, in a sense, separate from the levels below, but also...
Yeah, because if we want to get... so basically, yeah, because there's another way to categorize God's energies as well as three, and that's Sandini, Hladini, and Samvit. So Sadini is the existence potency. Like you think, why do we exist? Like, why is there an existence in the first place? Why is there not only is there, how did it start, but why? Why isn't there just nothing? Yeah. So things exist because, well, first of all, Krishna is all of reality. There's no other way to, once you say Krishna, there's nothing else to explain about other than that. But Krishna has energies, if you want to be more specific. But one of Krishna's energies is a Sandini potency, which means the existence potency.
Because when I was a kid,
Uh-huh.
I had the same question, like, why do I exist?
Yeah, why do I just not exist?
How come every time blah, 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 how come every time I wake up, I'm still me? Like I still exist? And my parents were just like, I was like 6 and I was asking that question. And for them, it just was too much question. Like it's very inconceivable, like the Samvit, like the existence potency. It's like, you ask most people, like, why do I exist? They're just like, it's like, you do exist. Yeah, but why?
Yeah.
You just do. It's like,
That's right, because we are relative truth. So it's like, why do you exist? We exist because Krishna exists. So Krishna is the absolute truth, and we are relative truths. Like, things don't exist because I exist. Like, you guys don't exist because Gopal exists. Do you know what I mean? You're not dependent on my existence to be alive and for the fact you exist. So we're relative truths.
Only to live in the CV.
But Krishna, everything that exists depends on his existence to exist. Therefore, he is the absolute truth. So he has this Sandini potency by which an energy by which everything exists. And then you have a Samvit potency, which means consciousness or awareness. So there's existence, but if there's just existence on its own, then that doesn't make a difference because no one knows about it. So there's also another potency by which Krishna and all of Krishna's spiritual energies are also aware that there's an existence. So there's the Samvit potency. So the Brahman realization is just the Sandini, it's the existence potency. There is a bliss attached to it, but nothing compared to full realization. And then there's a Samvit potency, which is your consciousness expands. That's the Paramatma realization. But Krishna has a third energy, which is actually what the whole show is about. And that's the Hladini Shakti, or the pleasure-giving potency. The potency that's meant to give pleasure. There's an existence, there's knowledge of an existence, and therefore an experiencer. So there's the object and the subject. And then, other than that, there's Hladini, which is pleasure, which is what the whole show is about. It's about experiencing love, experiencing intense, ever-increasing ecstasies and pleasure, which is there completely in the Bhagavan realization. And the realization of God's personal form is where the living entity actually fully experiences the pleasure-giving potency of the absolute truth. So really, this God realization is actually the culmination of all types of spiritual advancement, and it's actually the original situation of the soul. Which is why, a devotee doesn't really want to hear about Brahman realization, because we don't want to merge into nothing, and we want an eternal loving relationship with God.
Yeah.
Is it that those three levels of God realization, like Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan, are they connected to Sat, Chit, and Ananda? Like Brahman is existence.
The Sat potency, yeah.
Paramatma is knowledge.
Yeah.
Because the Paramatma inspires everyone with knowledge for anything. Like if you create good music, it comes from the Paramatma.
Yeah.
Any knowledge is inspired from the Paramatma.
Yeah,
And
Vedas
then-
char sama
Don't we
hema
say,
video
like-
vedantic evajaham. What's the verse?
Sarva-
Sarvasa hedra sanvisto mata smita
Yanam
yanam aponaham
aponaham
cha. From me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness.
I thought they say
Pokanam
that
cha.
Paramatma only talks to pure devotees.
Paramatma talks to everyone. That's how like people, you know what I mean? You get these birds that just know how to migrate, or the salmon that flow up the stream, or so the Paramatma is directing Prakriti Karmana Guna Sarmasya Hankaravi Mudat Makarta Miti Manite. Krishna says that he's directing or the other one is
Hankara of
Hankara
Mudama. That one.
No, the everyone's situated in a machine
Oh, yeah.
made of.
Gyanam Apohanam Cha. No.
Sorry, Prema?
Is that Maya Shane of Prakriti?
No.
No, it's the Arjuna. Everyone's on a machine made of material energy.
Yeah.
Tishtati, something.
Yeah. Yantra. Anyway, we'll get it back to everyone. I know,
That
yeah.
one? Yantra Rudrani Maya. Anyway,
No, I've heard it before, but don't know.
Wait
I'm
there.
guiding the wanderings of all living entities who are
Yeah,
seated on a machine made. It's 1866 or something.
I knew the first line. I'll do it. Maybe we'll have to cut this bit while I try and remember.
We can
It's just
cut.
going to do my
It's
head.
right there.
What, 18?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, it's
Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Hirdeshana Jadistati Brahmanam Sarvabhutanam Yantra Rudajamaya. Ishvara Sarvabhutanam. So the Ishvara means Krishna. Sarvabhutanam is all living entities. Hirdesha Arjun Tisi. He's Hirdesha. He's in the innermost chambers of everyone's heart. And Brahmayam Sarvabhutanam. Brahmayam is this moving of Sarvabhutanam, all the living entities. Yantra Rudani Mayaya. They're on a yantra, which is like a machine, an aeroplane or a machine made of the material energy. So everyone's just like little riding around on these little machines. Sorry, we
I
just.
think you should keep that in. That was really far out.
No, that's
It's like knowledge. Like.
knowledge.
Knowledge.
One thing I wanted to say is one thing the Buddhists can't explain, which is that they think there's all there is to know, which is this Brahman, which is that we're all one. But then they can't explain how we explain the three levels of Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan.
Yeah, Buddhists
And
don't
that-
even accept Brahman.
But that level, that proves that three, I know Prabhupada says, that proves that there is more than just this oneness.
What proves there's more?
The philosophy that there's Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan.
Well, they say that doesn't prove it. They'll say, well, that's just just because you said it. How does that prove it?
But also their understanding is because Buddha came to this earth, to talk about karma and to talk about how we shouldn't kill animals, and he wasn't here so much to talk about philosophy, and it was rather just to help the world.
Yeah, so Buddhists, they don't even believe in Brahman. They just believe in there's just
I
illusion.
didn't know that, actually.
And you have nirvana, which means vana means forest, and you're out of the forest of material illusion. But then the question is, well, where are you then? But they don't even accept like these categories of spiritual and material. They just don't even. Mayavadis or some impersonalists, they're similar, but they do accept the Vedas, and I think their understanding of Brahman is like somewhat there. But they think that Krishna has a material body.
Yeah, and they want to merge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't. Well, yeah, they want to. They think Krishna is
The
actually
unborn
just.
within, to
Sorry?
surrender to the unborn within Krishna.
Yeah, they
That's
think
what say.
Krishna is just like the sort of like highest level of material goodness manifestation of Brahman. Even though Krishna very, very clearly refutes that in the Bhagavad Gita. And then you have Brahmavadis that are actually aware of the whole holistic sort of Vedic conclusions of Brahma and Paramatma and Bhagavan. But their goal is just the impersonal Brahman.
Yeah, they don't want to go.
Like in the Bhagavatam, you had the four Kumaras. They were like that. Their goal was to the Brahman effulgence. But then when they saw Vishnu and just smelt the flowers and leaves that were just offered to his lotus feet, they just became possessed with this kind of bliss and ecstasy that they then realized that this was a much higher attainment. There's many examples of sages wanting Brahman and then finding Krishna and just going to Krishna. But there's no examples of devotees who are in love with Krishna and then go to Brahman, because Krishna gives such a high flavor and taste in spiritual
That's
life.
interesting, and that's in the Vedas.
Yeah. So it's
But you also don't find that in any other kind of religion. Like we hear it so often. okay, God's just in a cloud and he's just floating, and
Yeah, I had so many experiences
So
with
on and so
Christians in
forth.
Ireland. Ireland's a very religious place.
Yeah.
It was St. Patrick's Day. And St. Patrick was a great sage. Did I explain this the other day? Anyway,
Yeah, I saw it on the group chat.
So he actually left the UK. Some say Wales. He was the original Welsh Yogi. He was the original Welsh Yogi podcast, and we'll get him on one day. And anyway, he got taken as a slave to Ireland. Then he came back to the UK, and then he went back to Ireland trying to save the people. Is it okay there, Prema? You seem to be doing.
Yeah.
And then he came back to save his people. So they said, and anyway, then he spread Christianity all over Ireland. He's very famous for that. So on St. Patrick's Day, they celebrate St. Patrick by doing the most sins they can possibly do on that day. They go out and get drunk. They try and have as much illicit sex and eating meat and just going crazy on that day. And that's how they celebrate St. Patrick.
patriotic.
Yeah. So it's like they go to church and stuff, which is...
Maybe we'll have a St. Gopal's Day one day, where everyone just goes out and gets drunk. And
Yeah. You can burn little effigies of me.
I was thinking maybe we could just recap on what we said, because me listening now, it's like been a lot of sprawling. It's been like we've gone a bit tangential. I'm just trying to kind of sum up what we've said on the philosophical side of things.
Yeah, it's been a very philosophical episode so far. Just saying, Jacob.
Enthusiastic.
Hold that thought.
Sit on your hands, Jacob. No, I'm joking. Naughty boy. No, I'm joking.
Back in school.
Yeah. But I guess we started off saying about the Acintya-bhedābheda-tattva, simultaneously one and different. Then we went into the Tatishta Shakti, the marginal Tatishta.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if we can just like package it so it's easier to, because my brain is trying to make sense of what we've just been talking about.
Yeah, so it's been quite philosophical, but it's all encapsulated in what Jacob brought up first in this Acintya-bhedābheda-tattva. The important word in that as well is Acintya, which means inconceivable. At a certain point, you have to admit that God has inconceivable energies.
Yeah.
So as much as possible, we try and understand God and explain God, who has unlimited energies. And it can be, even though it's unlimited, it also has categories. And that's what we've been discussing and you could go on and on talking about the different categories of Krishna, his energies, how they interrelate.
I was just wondering, like, say, some people's minds are definitely attracted to philosophy and trying to conceive of these great things. Is Krishna consciousness, if you're not naturally attracted to maybe getting into this kind of philosophy, does that bar you from being able to practice Krishna consciousness? Is it like, should we be trying to understand this, or is it okay to just kind of accept Krishna as God? Because I know some people, they're not so into philosophy, but they like the community and they like the...
Yeah, so Prabhupada said, even if you don't understand the philosophy, you just chant Hare Krishna, basically. And one needs to... Because you want experience. Everyone wants actual experience of pleasure and love. That's ultimately, that's even Krishna's goal. In the spiritual world, even his eternal associates aren't, even though they know all these things, they are full of knowledge, but they actually don't think about them. In fact, they think Krishna is just a normal boy. And they have intimate, loving relationships with Krishna. So it's definitely something that this sort of like spontaneous just love and affection and just practicing in order because one wants to love Krishna again, or because just one's sick of this material world. In one sense, that's all you need to know. You just chant Hare Krishna and then gradually things will blossom and naturally grow and unfold. However, I think if someone really wants to go deeper and deeper into spiritual life, then you have a responsibility actually to understand these things, to understand Krishna, to understand Krishna's energies. Because if you really want to love someone, then you should know as much about them as possible. Yeah. And I used to be that when I used to be really into like a band or something, I used to just find out everything about them and just go deeper and deeper and just know everything. And similarly, you have many people who might give lip service and say, well, I love God. Okay, well, what does God look like? What does God do? What does God... we've talked about this in the podcast before. So I think it's a natural sort of something that comes up, is that someone wants to know about God, then one naturally is interested in knowing about his energies and how one can see God everywhere. And Krishna does dedicate a lot of time to this in the Bhagavad Gita, because it is it's important to eventually, understand these things. And what we've talked about in this podcast so far isn't anything that's too highfalutin. Just talking about the three different levels of God realization and the quite simple analogies of the ocean or the sunshine or fire. I think generally, just even in like introductory books of Christian consciousness, like Science of Self-Realization, things like that, then these things are explained.
Which of those books would you recommend someone picking up if they wanted to get into the philosophy? Would it be that one, Science of Self-Realization, or Bhagavad Gita, or?
It depends. The thing is, it actually takes, because we're not used to reading about philosophy. Confirmed. So, because people generally were not used to reading about philosophy, we're used to reading about stories and things like that. It actually takes a bit of practice to be able to sit there and actually read and hear about philosophy. It takes some dedication. Not many people actually are so sort of accustomed to it. It's something that grows on you. So there's different things. I mean, I would, Srimad, maybe Krishna book. Because Krishna book, what Prabhupada has done is he's given just the pastimes and the stories of Krishna, but it's laced with deep philosophy. So Prabhupada has made sure that you don't misunderstand these stories of Krishna as just another hero going on exciting adventures, but you understand that actually these are the eternal activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Krishna book is probably but any Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam are great. My first book that I properly read and was blown away by was Sri Ishopanishad. And then the next book I read was Krishna book. So that's my experience, and you won't go wrong if someone does do that. How long are we into this podcast, by the way?
We're about 43 minutes.
Plus or minus.
Okay.
Can I give it? I don't know whether I should read this. You guys have read this before, but I've been thinking about it today, and it relates to the back, of course.
Absolutely.
But Jacob was just
Jacob's dying.
to
I'm
say
just
something.
saying, I did have 2 points, but I had 1 point what was just related to what we were saying, literally just.
Okay,
And,
I'll save my little
again.
reading for another
You were
week.
saying for someone who's joined the community, they like the community, they're not so philosophically interested, that's not their material nature, just what they're naturally interested in. But we shouldn't accept anything blindly, right? If they like the community and they're happy to be around everybody, that's great. But you shouldn't just accept things blindly. But if you do this practice and you feel it actually working, you don't have to talk about philosophy all day, but if you just do the practice, like you chant Hare Krishna and you're a part of the kirtans with us, and you eat prasadam, and you feel something working, you feel something changing within you, that's enough of a sign to show like this is actually working. I don't have to talk about philosophy all day, but there's clearly something in this because it is making a difference in my life.
Yeah, they say religion. What is it now? Science
Religion without philosophy.
is just sentiment,
Yeah.
and
Philosophy without religion.
philosophy without religion is just mental speculation.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's got to have both. So yeah, religion without philosophy is just sentiment. Like, oh, I just love God, and this is what I just love to do, and which is nice sentiment. But anyone can just do anything in the name of just a sentimental kind of love, So it's good to, you have that philosophy, so you know what you're doing is the right thing, and you're not being cheated. If you want to go out and buy, if you want to go out and buy, go online and buy Pokemon cards, you got to know what Pokemon cards are, all right? I'm sure, isn't it? I'm sure loads of people cheat people and stuff. You got to know what the goods are. You're buying something authentic.
I got scammed out of some.
There you go, see? So there's no harm doing your research if you want the real article.
Yeah.
And similarly, if you just got philosophy and you're just like thinking about stuff all the time and just sitting in your chair and just analysing the Bhagavad Gita, but you're not actually doing anything about it, then it's just mental speculation. There's no point to it. You need some religion there. You need to have both to put into practice.
I had a couple of thoughts I don't suppose I could share.
Yeah, go on, share.
One thing that...
This is your podcast, Mark. Share.
You know, you were talking about Krishna book, and Prabhupada always makes sure to mention that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, like at the end of every pastime. And also something that I've experienced being from a devotee childhood background is that a lot of people, you know, they may learn about the philosophy or they may have a basic understanding, but actually, you know, even if they've been coming to the temple on a weekly basis, they still end up going to uni and going out and drinking and all these sorts of things, and they kind of, in one sense, forget about their background and, you know, they want to experience the world. And also one thing I was going to say is about your point about, you know, people not always wanting to have philosophy. That's why Kirtana is there, because like sometimes, especially in the beginning, you might be more inclined to the Kirtan side of things. And, you know, I had a time where I went away from Krishna consciousness a bit, but I always made sure to stay in connection with Kirtan or playing Mridanga, and I've had a lot of experiences with Kirtan as well. So, you know, it's a good pathway into Krishna consciousness as well.
Kirtan is such a great activity, actually, isn't it?
It's easy for the mind to focus on music, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's the Yuga Dharma, Sankirtan.
Beautiful.
That's what really gives the flavour to it.
This would be a good podcast with Mark. I'm just listening to him speak about his childhood in Krishna consciousness. Maybe in the future, if people want to see that, hear about that, get in the comments.
Yeah.
Because it's a unique... Most of us in Wales came to it late, right? 18, 19.
Yeah. We had Sonali on last week, right?
Sonali,
That's
yeah.
interesting. Maybe Mark, you should have your parents on as well.
Yeah.
You and your mum and your dad.
That would
I
be
can
cool.
To that second point that Mark just made, that he knows
Thanks, mate.
devotee children who have, you know, they've been a part of a movement the whole life, and they grow up, and it feels like it's been forced on them in a way. So they go out and they want to do what everybody else is doing, everybody else for an age, and they do, you know, drink loads of alcohol, doing drugs, whatever, listen to music about sex, violence, whatever. It feels like, for me, without having those really deeply troubling experiences, like prior to Krishna consciousness, and seeing the world on my own accord, I would have been less willing to want to take up this philosophy, 100%. So it feels like you've got to come to a spiritual path on your own accord, and that it can't be forced upon you.
But also you've got to experience the world first as well. Like, you know, for me, from my background, I had Krishna consciousness from so early on, and I wanted to go into the ashram and the manor and all these things and live the life of a monk. But actually, probably at that point, it was too early for me, and a lot of people said, well, hang about, you know, why not go and experience the world first, realize if this is what you want to do, or, you know, or have that not bad experience, but have the suffering, and then, you know, it might make you want to be more inclined towards the ashram. And actually, it did help me a lot by, you know, it's kind of the opposite to you, but actually by having that bad experience or that experience with the world, it made me want to be more inclined to Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, well, that's what the Amish do. The Amish, they have at a certain age, you're allowed to go off and just do what you want for a couple of years.
What's it called? A rumple skin or something?
I'm
off on rumple skin. There's some word like that.
But like most of them come back.
Yeah.
You know? But the other side is, it's also... Shiva Rama said, for example, if someone wants to be a farmer and work with animals, they don't have to go and act like a pig for 2 years and so they know how to relate to animals or anything, like, you know. And also, if you can avoid it, it's like saying, well, yeah, you know, you shouldn't touch the fire, you're going to get burnt. In the Nectar of Instruction, which you guys are studying, right, Prabhupada talks about 3 different levels of intelligence.
Yeah.
The first level of intelligence
It's really interesting.
is that just by hearing about it, you understand, and then you don't have to experience it.
Yeah.
The second level of intelligence is you might hear the fire is hot and it's dangerous if you touch it, but you don't fully understand until you've touched it yourself and you've got burnt.
Yeah.
And then the third level of intelligence is that you just don't learn, you keep touching and you keep getting burnt, right?
Criminals.
Repeat
reoffenders.
Yeah, reoffenders. So it's like that. So ideally, we want to, and this is one of the sort of things that we're seeing when religious movements, whether they succeed or fail, there's different elements. One is like how effectively they can convert people and stuff, But one of the sort of main indicators was how successful they are at socializing their children into their group. Like that, you see like Islam is one of the fastest, if not the fastest growing religion in the world. And that's because they're so effective at having children, and then those children are being socialized into Islam and so on and so forth.
They also have their effective preaching methods as well. Kind of what we do as well.
Yeah. Like, so they...
Smashing the Quran out.
I guess. So then...
Book distribution.
You are?
They do book distribution too.
Yeah, they preach.
On Queen Street,
Yeah,
you always
yeah,
see
fair
the
play
big
to them.
tent.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
it's called Rumspringer, by the way.
Rumspringer, that's it.
Rumspringer.
So I think our movement eventually, it's just we will have to learn how to effectively bring our children up in spiritual life, so they feel like they're happy and they don't feel like they need to experience the suffering and pain of this world.
Yeah.
But that's something for the future.
Sorry. Prabhupada does always say that the children of either his disciples, or you could say like grandchildren, are the next generation, and if they have the kind of correct understanding, then they can take the movement forward.
Yeah. Prabhupada even said to the disciple, he said not your children, he said to his disciple, not your children, but your children's children will have the power to light fire by mantra.
Go on then, Mark.
Because the idea is the purity is, the purity has been handed down so much that, it's too late for us. But the children of our children will be able to, because that's what they used to do in ancient times. They used to have priests that could light fire just by chanting. And, the power of sound can affect this physical world.
Sorry, just that idea of like Rumspringer. Like Rumspringer. But just like, I feel like sometimes we all need a little Rumspringer. Like, like you said, the second class intelligence. Like, for me personally, it's like, I know that I don't want to do that thing, but sometimes I've done the thing and been like, yeah, I definitely don't want to do the thing. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like, is there a place for that, or should we just, like, because I find it really difficult to override a desire,
Yeah, it's just very dangerous. Yeah. Like a yogi, it's in the yoga scriptures, they're very cautious about such things. Yeah. Because when you perform an activity, like, okay, you get some karma for it. Now, the karma is not such a big deal, because karma can be wiped away by chanting Hare Krishna, reading Bhagavad Gita, things like that. The problem is, it's like everything you do creates an impression, like putting some hand into cement, wet. Yeah, samskars. And then it's there. So it creates an impression on the mind, and then performing the activity actually plants a seed that will eventually urge you to perform that same activity again in the future. So that's why it's very tricky business. And there is a verse in the Bhagavatam which says, just like putting drops of ghee on a fire, keep the fire alight. If you put a big dollop of ghee on it, the fire will go out. So that's in a very rare cases, by doing some extreme, trying to enjoy yourself materially, one will get completely burnt out and just think, I've had enough of this place.
My dad has an interesting quote on this topic. My dad always says, if you keep on going to a barber shop, eventually you'll get a haircut. So it's the same way. If
you keep going to a barber shop, at least eventually you'll get
a haircut.
I used to have that saying for MMA, mixed martial arts.
Well, if you hang around outside of a barber shop, eventually you'll go inside and get a haircut.
It's like a tattoo shop. If you hang around in the tattoo shop, very quickly you'll have a tattoo.
I used to do Muay Thai. If you go Muay Thai every week, eventually you're going to get punched really hard in the face.
That's a good point.
And that happens. I used to go with my best friend Callum back home, and he would like do a full day of work. He's like quite an angry man. I'll pick him up. I like
Shout out
drive
to Callum.
him. I'm like, wait, Cal, we're gonna go for like a little bit of sport, a little bit of like fighting. And he's like, no, I'm gonna punch you in your. And we get there, and he punched me like really hard. He does an illegal punch actually. He spins around backwards, like back. Really hurts. Like,
Interesting.
Yeah.
You took it though? You took it like a champ?
Well, no, I did. I had to take it. And then, but it was like kids in this like Muay Thai class. But I'm like trying to rip his head off. Like, and there's like little kids. And I'm like, we're actually really fighting, like trying to kill each other. But
that's like me and Back to Rupa in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
I was just killing him. Like.
With Daichari as well. Like.
Yeah, that was actually.
Me and Daichari really went for each other at a certain point.
Yeah.
Back to Rupa.
We have to wind this podcast down.
Yeah.
Mentioned
Das, by the way.
earlier.
Prabhu.
Like when you were 6, You said
6.
yes. You
Seven.
mentioned
6,
earlier.
7.
I don't know why Jacob's like, if
When
he says something, he's like,
you
whoa, let me just,
were 6
hmm.
years old. You
It's now my
mentioned-
time to
I think it was 6 or 7.
say something profound.
I've got this point that I've wanted to say for ages.
Let me just
Or he does the little fingers.
let me
as
just
well.
finish. Jacob, please, let me just finish what I gotta say before it escapes me.
He does the little fingers as well.
No, it helps.
So
me,
what I was
like-
gonna talk about is this thing, but then that's led me on to something else. So now
To
we're
that
gonna go
point.
around this way a little bit.
To that
Take me on. I'm gonna take you on a little tour. And then eventually, inconceivably to everyone else, I somehow have managed to come round and made it all make sense.
No, it's important to have it make sense.
Yeah.
Going on Paragon with Jacob.
Back
Okay,
to
so the last. That's the end of this podcast. Though.
Last point, Jacob.
Back to Rupert mentioned
When he was
earlier,
6.
When he was 6 years old, he said he was talking to his family, his parents.
Is this true, Becky? First of all,
And you were saying, "Why am I alive?
Well,
What's the point?" And they were
Oh, yeah,
saying,
he did
like,
say it.
"No, shut up." They were saying, "No, why am I alive?" And they say, "This is too much for me, Back to Rupert. Be quiet." We don't need little 6-year-old Back to Rupert, Ben, talking about these things. We want a happy, nice life. You're just a child. Chill out.
yeah.
And it made me think about my parents, because my parents are quite philosophical. And we were talking earlier about impersonalists. And whenever I get into this chat about spirituality, they always say back to me, and it's kind of like, this is my dad, it's like, yeah, this is my statement. What would you say?
Shout out to Jacob's dad, by the way.
Is
Big
Dan?
up.
Daniel?
Daniel,
That's it.
Big up.
Tracy and Dan.
Tracy, and
They'll
Dan.
be watching this. Actually.
Yeah. Well, they must be great souls because they have a great son. They've done a good job.
And they say,
Yeah.
and I would really like to know what you would say to someone with this point of view.
Okay, Mr. Daniel.
We are the universe experiencing ourselves. And when my dad says that, it's like, yes, I've got the answer. We are the universe experiencing ourselves. And he's like, yes, I know it. And you can't tell me anything because I already know we're the universe experiencing ourselves. And he'll say that like, well, drinking alcohol or whatever. But
A lot of people are probably like that.
Yeah. I mean, I was like that. First time I came to a program, that was exactly what I said. That was my, he said, what do you think? And I just came out with all this stuff I've been like meditating on for the last 7 years of my life. I'm off it on drugs and whatever. And I was just like, this is what we're all just like the one thing, experience in itself, man. It's like I really like, but it's just, where do I begin? Are we going to get into that now, or is this to be continued?
You might as well just
a brief response.
Might as well just answer him.
Someone said that.
So first of all, it's like, what's by the universe? He means like just whatever the
We
source
are
of everything
the universe
is.
experiencing ourselves.
Yeah, but the universe is like a word that's usually to describe like the planets and you know
Yeah.
what I mean, like everything. So let's say he's saying everything that exists is like one thing having consciousness, right, and experiencing itself in a variety of different people and places and stuff like that, which isn't too far off the mark, but. I mean, but actually, there's a unit of consciousness in my body. Like I'm not the universe. I'm not I'm just experiencing the pleasure and pains of this body. It's this particular body that's illuminated by one particular type of consciousness, which is me, and there's another consciousness over here, which is you. Now, so we're two separate units of consciousness. And so is your father saying that the universe has like a all awareness? Because people will say, well, the universe is God. And okay, well, why is there suffering? If I had a choice to experience stuff, then I wouldn't experience like, I don't know, leprosy or like first degree burns on my face. And you know what I mean? It's like, there's just so many unanswered questions in that. So what he's got hold of is a type of truth, but there's so much more to be explained than that. First, what's he mean by universe? Does he mean by supreme conscious entity? And now, does this conscious entity have energies? Like, how is this world created? How is there microphones and relationships and people? And like, this is a type of illusion. But then, for there to be, if you see you mistake a rope to be a snake, but actually it's a rope. The snake is illusion, but there's a rope there. There is actually something there. And for you to think it's a snake means you got experiences before of snakes. So there's the illusion of relationships and all sorts of different objects and people that we have. It's because there is actually a prototype, a reality of these things that everything's sort of based on.
The banyan tree.
Yeah, there's in the Bhagavad Gita. So it's just so you can say to your father what the Bhagavad Gita and the Vedic literature offer is exactly what he's talking about. You know, it's like, Dad, you're right. You know, but there's so much, and what the Bhagavad Gita does is explain that in a very, very comprehensive and profoundly understandable way, talking about how what he means by universe is Krishna. And Krishna's experiencing himself, but Krishna, like we've been talking about in this podcast, has different categories of energies. And one of those categories of energies, like you said earlier, is the Tatashta Shakti, is living entity. And so it's very sort of, and also there's a science that accompanies this philosophy that, if put into practice, verifies that the philosophy is true. So it's not even just like a fact of, I'm just going to pick this belief of the universe experiencing itself, and that's, you know, how can you prove that? Can you prove that, you know, my consciousness is the same as someone else's, and we're not different units of consciousness? You know, no, it's just what I believe, it's just what I think. The universe experiences itself, it sounds cool, you know? But what we're offering is what your father's explaining, you know, intelligently. We're explaining that in a much more elaborate way, and also accompanying it is a method to verify its truth. So why not accept it? Why not accept, oh yeah, this makes sense, you know? This is the universe experiencing itself, but in a much more elaborate and descriptive way that actually makes sense, other than just that phrase of just a few words together, like, you know?
It's probably an easier way to understand
That was a really nice
God.
answer.
It's probably an easier way to understand God without labeling God. It's like the other day in Exeter, with me and Prema met this old guy, and he was saying, I accept that there's an energy, but I don't want to accept that there's a God, because how can God want people to suffer? How can God want people to be poor, or, you know, whatever it might be, suffer because of a war or something?
Yeah. So there are two different things. One is like the understanding of, okay, is there a God? Like, is consciousness, like there's an energy, but then where's consciousness fit into it?
Yeah.
You know, consciousness is an energy, you can't deny it. In fact, it's the prime energy, and it's all we actually care about is consciousness.
Yeah.
It's what experiences things. You go to the doctor and say, my arm's hurting. The doctor doesn't really want to deal with your arm, he deals with your consciousness. You wouldn't care about your arm hurting if your consciousness wasn't experiencing it. So consciousness is the prime energy that everyone is concerned with. It's actually what really matters. Yet not much science investigation is happening into the world of consciousness, but it needs to. And so that's the sort of highest category of energy in this world, is consciousness, and that needs to come from somewhere. And if there's a source of everything, then we would put forward that source is also conscious, right? Now, so you could say, okay, that means there's a God, basically.
Yeah.
You know, the source of everything is conscious, so it's aware, it means it's a person.
Yeah.
Like that. So then there's the next question is, why is there bad and evil and suffering in the world?
Karma.
Yeah, so that's another, so it's like, but what you can't do is, well, not accept there's a God because there's suffering.
Yeah.
You know, because there might be a God, but he's just evil. You know what I mean? So it's not really,
Yeah.
so God is all good, but we won't have time to go into that. Sorry, I keep going off in these rants, is that right?
It's okay. It's
I
okay.
think that was really interesting. Like,
One
it
thing
really
I'm
shows-
thinking about that, though, that we are just the universe experiencing itself. It's basically like a cop-out, because it means I'm not responsible for my actions. Like, everything I do is just the universe experiencing itself. You know, I can cause people pain. It's just the universe experiencing itself. I can do whatever I want because the universe is just experiencing itself. It's like,
yeah,
it's
if I
atheism.
punch you, it's just the universe punching itself.
Yeah, it's
And another way you could put it is, well, if you are the universe experiencing yourself, right, Mr. Universe, then surely you would want to experience the highest possible pleasure that you, Mr. Universe, can experience.
Yeah.
You know, so why do you want to be the part of the universe that experiences such a paltry pleasure as just like eating, sleeping, having sex, and doing these things? There's so many other little universes experiencing that. So many other people, so many other animals. You know what I mean? Like, isn't that a bit stale for you now, Mr. Universe? Why don't you experience the highest pleasures of spiritual life that, yeah, it might take some work, but you can actually realize profound spiritual ecstasies. Even if you were the universe experiencing yourself, surely you'd want to experience the highest possible pleasure you can and wouldn't want to waste your time experiencing the same sufferings that everyone else or the other universe, Mr. Universe, is experiencing, right? So even if we give you that, throw you a bone and say, okay, yeah, you are the... Krishna does the same thing in the Bhagavad Gita. It says to Arjuna, okay, even if you don't believe in the soul and you think like everything's just material, then still there's no harm in engaging in the war anyway, because there's no point. There's no point or anything. So Mr. Universe, you still should take up Krishna consciousness.
I really like that point you made. And there was somebody actually who told me, I think you're God.
Uh-huh.
It was, they told me, we were in a party. I've got a friend back home, his name is Slauce.
Shout out to Slauce.
Big
up Slauce.
Will Slauson. It was Will.
They always do crazy names, Jake.
Will Slauson's. I called him Slaucy Boy as well.
Yeah.
Oh my
Will
god.
Slauson's.
Big up Slaucy Boy. Shout out to Slaucy
Can I just
Boy.
ask, is he imaginary? Is he a real person?
No, he's a real person.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Definitely made it.
And it was his.
He was a pirate.
It was his birthday party.
Dear
It wasn't a normal. We kind of like went to the rural area. It was like a rural area.
It's got to be your last thing in the podcast,
Okay.
Jacob, I think.
And,
You said that 5 times.
it was. It
Got
was.
to be about Mr.
It was
Slouse.
like night time, and I was on this. It was like a raised.
Just cut to the chase. He called you God, right?
He didn't.
Ah,
It was,
sorry.
yeah. Anyway, this one girl, she says,
yeah.
to give you like the context, I remember I was
Yeah, you should have let me finish.
I was like hula hooping for hours, and I was like dancing, and we went outside and we were having like a really philosophical chat, and
At a party.
the lightning was going like outside whilst we were talking, and the conversation got brought up about God. It's like, do you think that's God? Do you think God's trying to make us a sign? And I was like, philosophically talking, like really interested. And this one
Yes,
girl,
I am.
she went to me, she goes, I think you're God. What? And she looked at me like with the eyes, like she wholeheartedly believed it.
Yeah, yeah.
And at the time, it was like, I
Maybe I
can't
am.
dispute her because I didn't have the knowledge.
Yeah.
So when you say, right, Mr. Universe, like you're clearly not.
Do you ever see...
But it made me feel like anxiety afterwards because I didn't have anything to prove that I wasn't God. So if this person genuinely puts all her faith into thinking I'm the highest and I know I'm not perfect, that creates like such a nothingness of like there's no purpose whatsoever. When if this person puts all their faith into me, thinks I'm the highest, and I'm really not perfect, and I'm not,
That's why his Krishna
Before
book is a
Krishna
good book to read,
consciousness.
because you hear about
So
what
it's-
God is like.
So it was nothing. It feels like so.
Yeah, that's why next time you see this girl, you give her a Krishna book.
Yeah.
Can I show
I think
one? Can I show one thing?
Krishna consciousness.
Okay. This is good.
I'll make it really quick.
Satisfies that urge, that sort of question I had in my mind for a while.
Uh-huh.
Is Krishna consciousness and this philosophy?
I'll make it really quick. It's just one thing when you were talking about consciousness, people, without even realizing on a fundamental level, do understand that there's consciousness, because Prabhupada even talks about it as well. When you go to a funeral and someone dies and everyone says, oh, he or she is gone. So actually on a fundamental level, without even realizing, they do understand that it's consciousness, because when someone dies, when there's no consciousness in the body anymore, it's just the body.
Yeah, it's the essential ingredient to everything. We'll do the. I have a little consciousness experiment for us to do, but we won't.
That's another thing I say to the taxi drivers. Actually, is when the body's dead,
Yeah.
the body's still there, but the
Set 'em off on the
all-pervading the consciousness we feel in our hands and our
Yeah.
our
So
body
something
and
is
our
gone.
legs.
Something that's very important is there. Otherwise, why would you have a problem with it? Yeah.
Body's still there, but
Otherwise, why do you have a problem with death?
sensations
Like
aren't.
you're just like, oh yeah, your bill is still there.
and
Anyway,
even-
so let's
Can I just say this one last point,
no.
please? I
No.
just wanted to say,
No.
oh wait, that's science
Well,
says that no matter and
It's not
energy.
created or
They
destroyed,
say
right?
no energy can be destroyed or created. So using that, that conclusion, where's that energy gone that's in that body?
Yeah. So
that can't be
science
destroyed or
doesn't actually
created?
have a clue what
So that
consciousness
proves
is.
that the soul, like,
They're still trying to bring people back from the dead, though, freezing them and
Yeah,
hoping that
yeah.
they'll bring people back from the dead.
They don't actually, because they can't explain qualia. I've been listening to these whole seminars about this recently, so I'm not going to get into this. It's a rabbit. It's a interesting. They'll remind me next podcast about the zombie
I
experiment.
think Shine would be good, yes, for that.
We'll all be zombies.
super scientific.
Oh, you did say a while ago you were going to say something, and I was interested, and I
It's
bared
too
it
late
in
now.
my mind.
Too late. Ship has sailed. Okay. Thanks, everyone. This has been a very philosophical episode, but sometimes it's good to discuss these things.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah,
Pleasure.
thank you.
Absolute pleasure. Looking forward to the next time.
Thank you for giving me your association.
Hare Krishna. Welsh Yogi Podcast out. Haribo.
Namah Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Vitinam